Again tonight with a report from the 12 News I team. Imagine writing a negative online review about a bad experience and then getting slapped with a steep fine for posting that review. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. It seems outrageous, but that's exactly what's happening to a Scottsdale man who posted a negative review about his property management company. The company has a clause in the lease agreement barring residents from posting any bad reviews online.
But as the 12 News I team's Bianca Bono reports, this may not be legal.
When Adrian Paul and his wife sold their North Scottsdale home late last year, they were looking for a condo to rent in the interim. They came across this complex near 96th Street and Via Linda that checked their boxes.
We prefer this part of town now and the walkability to a number of things.
He says they intentionally signed the lease a month before they needed to be out of their home to give themselves breathing room. But things quickly took a turn when they visited the condo before their move-in date.
There was an enormous patch of black mold.
They asked the property management company, Denali Real Estate, to fix it. Then,
okay, just right off the gate, this is not looking good. As someone who works in the industry, I'll tell you that, people leave negative reviews all the time. I'm sure people have negative reviews about me, but I've never heard of someone I never heard of that clause in your lease agreement. That's a new one for me. I've never heard of that one, so I'll have to look into that some more. I'm very curious because that's a new one for sure. I think that's more of a thing that people are doing today because of social media, online influencers, and the like. It kind of makes sense because you're running a business and you don't want slander. However, you know, some of it is probably warranted based on what I could see. It looks like anytime you have mold or something like that, that's a serious issue. Let's check it out.
they needed to be out of the home they sold. And when they got back to the condo, Paul said it still wasn't ready.
There were holes in the wall, there was carpet missing.
He began messaging Denali, asking them to assist. But he says his requests were ignored. So he turned to the internet.
I did what most people would do. I just posted online. Reviews are the way we keep people accountable.
He posted reviews about his negative experience on both Yelp and Google. He couldn't believe what happened next.
Rather than galvanizing them into action, I noticed that they had imposed a $4,000 charge, which apparently related to 2 complaints I'd made.
All of a sudden, his account, which previously showed a $2,200 credit, showed that he now owed $1,800, reflective of a $4,000 charge.
In their lease agreement, they've included a provision that
Number one thing you guys need to take away from this is to read your lease. I am shocked at how many people do not read their lease, whether it be commercial lease, residential, you name it. You have to read your lease. You got to know the terms and conditions because it has to become your Bible because that's what you're going to operate off, right? Real estate is contract law. And you got to understand what it is you're signing before you sign it and agree to those terms. If you do not like those terms, that's when you need to go ahead and, ask for some adjustments. But the time to do that is during negotiations. So at a renewal or at the beginning of the lease, not when you're well into it. You can't amend it. I mean, well, you can if the other party is agreeable to it. But at that point, you really don't have any leverage. You lost all the leverage. So the time when you have the most leverage is usually about 90, 60 days prior to your renewal and before you take possession or before you sign, I should say. So make sure you guys are reading all the clauses. And when you move in, doesn't mean that you have no recourse. It just means that, again, you have to know how you can operate, right? And if there's something that's not happening, we'll go back to your lease and just review the area of where you're having issues. If there's a maintenance request that's not being done or something like that, you can go back in and look in your maintenance clause. It's usually in there somewhere and see what you can do, right? There's usually a clause in there, so you got to look at that. But this is really intense. I've never seen this before.
Essentially to stifle and suppress any negative reviews by saying that if you provide a negative review, we'll charge you $2,000 for each one.
Lo and behold, in the
Wow.
middle of Denali's 21-page lease agreement, they include a non-disparagement clause, barring comments or statements, including negative online reviews, negative ratings of 3 out of 5 stars or less, and negative posts on all social media and review platforms.
I disagree with that. I think that, and I wonder if that is that. Well, I don't know if it's a free speech thing because you're signing to it, so you've waived, and essentially, I would assume you've waived a right. I'm not an attorney, but I could deduce that that's what I think it would mean. Let's just see.
Warning, the penalty for violating the clause is $2,000 per occurrence.
This idea of suppressing all negative feedback, for me, was just completely opposite of what any successful business should be pursuing.
It didn't sit well with you.
Not at all. No, it was outrageous.
And the Federal Trade Commission agrees. In 2016, the Consumer Review Fairness Act was passed to shield consumers from this type of practice. It protects people's ability to share honest opinions. It makes it illegal for a company to use a contract provision that imposes a penalty or fee against someone who gives a review.
How concerned
Man, what they doing out there? What y'all doing in Arizona? Man, that 2,000 per negative review. Yikes! And looks like it's illegal. So definitely, people, if you're in those areas, read your leases.
are you that other neighbors, folks that have lived in one of these Denali properties, have also been slapped with these very steep fines and actually paid it?
Well, that's exactly why I reached out to you.
I'm a reporter with 12 News in Phoenix.
For days, 12 News has made repeated attempts to reach Denali Real Estate for comment over the phone and through email.
I did send him a very detailed email laying out all of the questions that we have.
No one has gotten back to us.
We're standing in the master bedroom.
As for Paul,
We've now got what looks like rat droppings in the corner.
the nightmare at his condo continues. Water damage from recent storms has turned his master bedroom.
So anytime you see that, you want to make sure that it is remedied. And some of that doesn't necessarily have to be cut away. Some of it has to be like shellac. They put like this, it's called kills. They put kills on it, and that just seals everything up. So the first process in that, they have to clean it, right? And you can clean it with like Dawn or something like that, something with the antimicrobial on it. But not to get too technical, but if you guys are dealing with like this type of issue, who's ever doing the remedy work, you want to make sure that they're doing it properly. That way they're not just painting it and sealing it up, because then you'll have that in the air. And if you have allergies or it can respiratory issues, it can cause a lot of problems. So it's not the end of the world if it's mold is in your home. It's just you got to make sure it's remedied properly.
Room into this.
According to them, this is still habitable.
Yes,
He hopes by sharing his story, he can educate other consumers about the federal protections in place and encourage companies to change their ways.
this is clearly a matter of public interest. Companies like Denali feel they can stifle and suppress customer feedback. Corrupting the review process is absolutely unlawful.
And Paul has filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau and plans to file additional complaints with the FTC and the Attorney General's office. If anything like this has happened to you, you are urged to do the same.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully this shines some light on this. Hopefully this is if you got any guys out there dealing with this, yeah, it looks like you got some recourse here. Yeah, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm gonna leave the description in the video below, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.